Celebrity sommelier Charles Whitmore lifted the glass of the restaurant's most expensive Bordeaux, swirled it once, and spat it out in raw disgust.
This is not Bordeaux. This is a cheap imitation.
The dining room went so quiet you could hear a wine glass tremble. At the sixth top, Charles's guests, a pack of finance bros, exchanged uneasy smirks. Behind the bar, James Mitchell, the 58-year-old black bartender, simply set down the cloth.
You swapped the bottle? You think I can't tell a real Bordeaux from swill?
He jabbed a trembling finger toward James, spit still on his lip. James's weathered hands cradled the bottle, his thumb hiding the back label entirely.
Get me the manager right now, or I'll have this place shut down.
The manager, Richard Klein, was already pushing through the kitchen doors, his face pale. Richard practically ran to Charles's table, clipboard clutched to his chest like a shield.
I want that man fired, now. He's incompetent, and he's been serving counterfeit wine.
Richard's head swiveled toward James, pleading with his eyes for some kind of explanation. James gave nothing, just the same quiet half-smile, hands motionless on the bar.
Mr. Whitmore, I am sure there's a misunderstanding. Let me look into it.
Misunderstanding. I am a certified sommelier. That swill is not the 2008 Bordeaux I ordered.
James, could you please say something?
I poured what the gentleman ordered.
Don't lie to me. I've tasted Bordeaux from every chateau in Pauillac. You can't fool me.
Richard's face had gone the color of old milk. He hadn't fired anyone, but he hadn't solved anything either.
I'll have your entire wine list investigated before the night is over. Every bottle.
Richard opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He looked at James as if he'd just swallowed a live fish.
Sir, if you'd allow me to pour you another glass, I believe your opinion might change.
Another glass? I wouldn't drink sewer water from your hands? You are a fraud.
A few diners shifted in their seats. A candle flickered. James's expression didn't change.
Mr. Whitmore, please, let's not make a scene. James is one of our best.
Best? Your best served me counterfeit wine. I am calling the health department.
James simply set the bottle down, label still turned away, and waited.
You think silence will save your job? I've destroyed better restaurants for less.
Richard looked like he might actually vomit. The offer hung in the air, unanswered. Charles Whitmore snatched the wine-stained napkin from the table and flung it. It slapped against James Mitchell's chest. Richard Klein made a sound like a stepped-on mouse.
Mr. Whitmore, please, this is completely uncalled for.
James didn't flinch. He bent slowly, picked up the napkin, and placed it on the bar.
You'll be out on the street tonight. I'll make sure of it.
Richard fumbled for his phone, his fingers trembling so badly he nearly dropped it.
Olivia, it's Richard. I am so sorry to bother you. There's a situation. A guest is threatening to have us shut down. I need you.
A woman's voice came through the speaker, low and steady. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't let anyone leave. Richard hung up, his eyes darting between the furious sommelier and the serene bartender. James's fingers rested lightly on the bottle. The owner was coming, and the air felt like glass about to break. Charles turned to the finance bros at his table, raising his voice so the whole room could hear.
This is the kind of establishment that hires anyone with a vest. Probably never touched a bottle of Lafite.
The bros roared, one miming an exaggerated swirl and spit.
Good one, Charles. Look at him. He doesn't even know what hit him.
Richard stood frozen by the service station, his mouth opening and closing without sound. The heavy oak door swung open. Olivia Mitchell stepped inside, a sharp silhouette against the city lights. She scanned the room, the gaping patrons, the red-faced sommelier, the trembling manager. Then, she saw James behind the bar, still holding the bottle, still calm, a napkin crumpled near his elbow. Her heel stopped an inch from the floor. Her throat moved as if she'd swallowed something sharp. Then, with a deep breath, she resumed her stride, her expression unreadable. The owner had arrived. Charles spun toward Olivia the moment she reached the bar, his finger jabbing at James like a prosecutor.
You must be the owner. I want this fraud fired tonight. He served me a counterfeit wine.
Olivia met Charles's glare without flinching. She set her tablet on the bar and looked at James.
Tell me what happened here.
Charles launched into a breathless recap, every sentence louder than the last, spittle flying.
It's not the Bordeaux I ordered. This man deliberately swapped the bottle. He's been mocking me all night.
James didn't speak. He simply held Olivia's gaze and gave her the smallest nod, a silent assurance.
He's fine. Whatever this is, he's fine.
Well, are you going to do something about it? Or is this whole place a circus?
I'm going to find out exactly what's in that bottle. I won't fire him without understanding the full situation.
Full situation. The situation is that I was served counterfeit wine by an incompetent bartender. I am calling my contacts at the city licensing board.
Olivia's expression didn't waver. She had weathered bigger storms than a bully with a tasting cup.
I'll have the health department here in 15 minutes. Your restaurant won't survive another week.
You are welcome to call whomever you like. But this man stays behind my bar.
She's got her mother's spine.
Please, let's keep this civil. Mr. Whitmore, I assure you James has been with us for years.
Years? Then he's been fooling you for years. I'll make sure every critic in the city hears about this.
Richard's face crumpled. Olivia merely folded her arms. James stood motionless, as if the storm wasn't about him at all.
Then you'll be pleased to know that this bottle has more pedigree than you'll ever taste. Now, are you going to let me investigate? Or do you plan to shout all night?
Charles pushed past Olivia and began rifling through the wine display behind the bar, yanking bottles at random.
A 2010 Napa cab. This isn't a steakhouse. It's a dive bar.
Olivia simply leaned against the bar and watched, her patience a weapon. At the table, Mark Sullivan had stopped laughing. He was staring at James, a deep frown settling on his face. He pulled out his phone and began scrolling fast, his thumb a blur. James noticed. His calm eyes met Mark's for a split second, and something unspoken passed between them.
No way. It can't be.
Mark's face went pale. He glanced at the bottle in James's hands, then back at his screen. Charles, oblivious, was now sniffing a bottle of Chardonnay with theatrical contempt. Mark locked his phone and set it face down on the table, his hand unsteady. Mark pushed back from the table, weaving through chairs to reach Charles.
Charles, wait. I need to show you something. I think the bartender...
Not now, Mark. I'm busy exposing this farce.
Mark thrust his phone under Charles's nose, the screen glowing with a Vineyard article.
Look. That's him. James Mitchell. Mitchell Vineyards. He's not just a bartender.
Mitchell Vineyards? That's some Napa tourist trap. It means nothing. Could be a coincidence.
Charles barely glanced at the phone before shoving Mark's hand away.
Internet fluff. A generic name. You're wasting my time.
Mark's jaw tightened as he lowered the phone, the screen still bright with truth. Charles wouldn't see.
He won't listen, but I'm right. I know I am.
I want the wine distributor on the phone, right now. Prove this is a real 08 Bordeaux.
Very well. Let's settle this.
She tapped her tablet, and a dial tone filled the silent restaurant. After 2 rings, a young man's voice came through loud and clear. Mitchell Family Vineyards. How can I help you? A hush fell over the crowd. Every patron turned toward the bar. Charles's eyes narrowed. He leaned closer to the phone, suspicious. Behind the bar, James didn't move. The faintest smile tugged at the corner of his mouth.
This is Charles Whitmore. I need to verify a specific bottle from your vineyard.
Olivia's gaze remained fixed on Charles, unblinking, as if she'd already won. The whole room held its breath. Somewhere in Napa, a young man waited to answer a question that would change everything. Connor's cheerful voice cut through the silence. That's not a Bordeaux at all, sir. It's a private label Cabernet.
What do you mean, private label?
Connor laughed, the sound jarring in the tension. Ma'am, that wine is produced exclusively for your restaurant.
By whom? Who makes it?
A beat of silence. Then Connor said brightly, by James Mitchell. He oversees every vintage personally. Charles's face went slack. The tasting cup slipped from his fingers, clattering onto the table.
I told you.
James retrieved the fallen cup, placed it gently by the bottle. His eyes never left Charles.
The front label is blank because it's a private bottling. Only the back tells the real story.
Charles stared at James as if seeing him for the first time. The room buzzed with disbelief, but the bottle's label remained turned away. Charles Whitmore's voice cracked as he stabbed a finger at the bottle, refusing to believe what he'd just heard.
This is a setup. That kid on the phone is part of the scam. Show me the label.
You had the bottle in your hands earlier. You were too busy shouting to read.
It was blank. The front was blank. You hid the real label.
The front is intentionally blank. The story is on the back.
Then show me the back. Turn it around.
James didn't turn the bottle. He simply held it, his thumb still covering the edge of the label. The restaurant had gone silent again. Every pair of eyes locked on the bottle in James's weathered hands.
You are afraid, aren't you? Because it's all a lie.
James gave nothing. The room hung on the edge of revelation, but the bottle didn't move. Elena Vasquez, the food critic at table 7, slipped her phone from her purse and held it just above the tablecloth, the red recording light steady. Mark Sullivan caught the movement from his seat. His eyes flicked to Elena, then to her phone, and a small, knowing smirk crept onto his lips.
She's filming. This is going to go viral.
Dad, show him. It's time.
He hasn't asked properly.
What? Ask properly? What does that even mean?
The entire restaurant leaned in, everyone holding their breath. The tension was a physical weight. Elena's phone captured every second, the red light unwavering.
Charles, if you truly want to see the back label, you'll have to ask with the respect this room deserves.
Charles's face burned crimson, but for the first time all night he clamped his mouth shut. The power had shifted. James broke the silence, his voice as unhurried as if he were commenting on the weather.
You want to see what's on the back of this bottle, sir?
Just show it. I've had enough of your games.
James lifted the bottle, his weathered hands cradling it. Slowly, his thumb retreated from the label's edge. The edge of the label caught the candlelight, a sliver of rich paper and elegant ink. Charles leaned forward, a bead of sweat tracing down his temple, his eyes locked on the turning glass. Olivia watched her father with eyes that said everything: pride, protectiveness, and a patience worn smooth over decades. The bottle rotated another inch, then stopped. The label was still concealed, but the room could feel its presence. James met Charles's desperate stare, and for a moment, the whole world seemed to hold its breath.
Are you sure you want to see?
James let the silence stretch. Then he spoke again, his voice carrying the weight of decades.
Before I show you, tell me something. You accused me of ruining a Bordeaux. What if this wine isn't Bordeaux?
Then I am wrong. Just show me the label.
In one fluid motion, James flipped the bottle. The back label caught the candlelight, its script sharp and deliberate. Elegant letters spelled a name and a place, and beneath them, in ink, was a signature the whole room recognized. Charles's eyes narrowed as they traced the words. His face drained of color. His mouth opened, but no accusation came. He had read the name. It was a name that shouldn't belong to a bartender. The bottle rested in James's weathered hands, steady as a monument, and Charles Whitmore, who had spat and screamed all night, stood frozen in a silence louder than any insult. Finally, Charles's voice cut the silence, hoarse and barely audible, each word dragged from somewhere deep.
Estate bottled by James Mitchell.
He rotated the bottle a fraction more, and the handwritten signature appeared, stark against the elegant cream paper.
That's your signature. It is yours. You made this?
James's nod was a small, devastating thing, confirming everything Charles had tried to deny.
But you are just a bartender. You pour wine. How can you own a vineyard?
Charles's hands shook so badly, the bottle nearly slipped from his grip, the glass catching the light in frantic flashes. A collective inhale swept the restaurant as the weight of the revelation settled over every table. Olivia stepped forward, placing a steadying hand on her father's shoulder, her expression proud and unreadable. For the first time all night, Charles Whitmore had absolutely nothing to say. James Mitchell's voice was soft as worn leather, but it carried to every corner of the silent room.
I built Mitchell Vineyards. This is my 2008 Cabernet single vineyard fruit. I still sign every barrel label myself, and this restaurant, the daughter who runs it is standing right beside me.
Your daughter?
I am the owner. He's my father. We've been family longer than you've been a critic.
The finance bros pushed back from the table, their faces twisted with disgust, not at James, but at Charles.
I tried to warn you, Charles. You were too arrogant to look.
I didn't know. I just assumed.
People assume. That's why I keep the front label blank.
The room stayed silent, but the weight had shifted entirely. James Mitchell had been the owner all along. Elena Vasquez tapped the screen beneath the tablecloth, and the video began its flight.
I can explain. I made a terrible mistake.
Before Charles could say another word, his jacket pocket vibrated violently. He pulled out his phone and saw his own face on a social feed, tagged with the words "arrogant sommelier" exposed. A patron's voice cut through the silence. "It's viral. Someone filmed the whole thing." Charles's face drained to gray as he scrolled the comments. Thousands of views, and every single one a nail in his career. Elena slid her phone back into her bag, a calm, satisfied expression on her face. The clip had already leaped to another platform, the headline reading, "Sommelier shamed by bartender who owns the vineyard." James watched calmly, his hands resting on the bar. He had said nothing, and he needed to say nothing. Charles spun toward the door, but the weight of the room kept him rooted, his humiliation broadcast to the world. Charles tried to stammer another apology, but the words died in his throat. Two men near the door stood shoulder to shoulder, arms folded, their faces stone. Charles shoved past them, his coat snagging on a chair, and stumbled out into the cold night. The restaurant didn't jeer. It erupted in a wave of applause. Steady, satisfied, earned. James Mitchell simply gave a polite nod, then picked up a fresh glass and began to polish it. Olivia stood beside him, her hand light on his shoulder, saying nothing and everything. Elena Vasquez raised her glass toward the bar, a silent toast to the man who had just rewritten the evening. James caught her eye and gave the slightest dip of his chin in return. The restaurant hummed with the energy of a story that had already left the building ahead of Charles. Orders resumed, glasses clinked, and James Mitchell poured wine the way he always had, quietly, masterfully, and entirely himself. As the last applause faded, Olivia stepped around the marble counter and wrapped her arms around her father's broad shoulders.
I am sorry I didn't get here sooner, but you handled it. You always do.
Don't apologize. I've been handling myself for 58 years, and I am not done yet.
A regular at the end of the bar raised his glass, his voice thick with feeling as he said, to Mr. Mitchell,
Thank you. Now, who needs another round? All right, that's enough fuss. Back to work, all of you.
I love you, Dad, more than you know.
James smiled faintly, adjusted his vest, and gave her hand a gentle pat. Two other regulars came forward, shaking his hand with quiet respect, their eyes saying what their mouths didn't. When the last hand had been shaken, James picked up his towel and went back to polishing glasses, the hum of the restaurant folding comfortably around him. Later, as the crowd thinned, Elena Vasquez slid onto a stool at the end of the bar.
I owe you an explanation. I am a food critic. It was my phone that caught the whole thing.
I know.
She looked at him steadily, and for a moment, they were just two people who understood the gravity of what had happened.
The video is already at 2 million views. Charles Whitmore's career is over, and you, Mr. Mitchell, are a legend.
James nodded, not in triumph, but in quiet acknowledgement of something that had been true long before tonight.
I hope you don't mind. I didn't plan it, but some stories need to be told.
Stories tell themselves. I just pour the wine.
She slid a business card across the bar, then stood, her mission complete. Elena Vasquez walked out into the night, leaving James alone with the hum of the empty restaurant and a card that read, Elena Vasquez, food critic. The last patron had gone. The restaurant was silent, save for the soft hum of the walk-in cooler and the distant tick of a clock. James picked up the bottle from the bar, his bottle, and turned it until his own signature caught the last of the candlelight. He traced the letters with his thumb, the same way he'd done after the first harvest 40 years ago. Then he set down the bottle, pulled a single crystal glass from the rack, and poured himself a measure. A small framed photograph of his late wife, Marie, sat beside the register, her smile as warm as the Napa sun. James lifted his glass toward the photograph, his hand steady, his eyes holding decades of love and loss.
To you, Marie.
He took a slow sip, letting the wine settle, the flavors of the vineyard alive on his tongue. The restaurant was dark and quiet, and James Mitchell stood alone behind his bar, exactly where he belonged. The candle flickered once, then held steady. A quiet man, a quiet place, a story that had finally been told.